Hawks is here. See, is Brian Haynes here this evening?
No, he's not.
Okay. Looks like we have a couple of folks this evening who'd like to talk to us. Public content allows the public the opportunity to address the Planning and Zoning Commission. To comply with the provisions of the Open Meetings Act, the Planning and Zoning Commission cannot discuss or take action on items brought before them not posted on the agenda. Comments regarding an item on the agenda may be made at this time or during the agenda time. And folks that want to speak to us this evening have already completed a request to appear before P&Z and wish to address us at this time. Comments will be limited, please, to 3 minutes. In no particular order, Mr. Dennis Tully.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to reserve my comments for the agenda item later on, if that's all right.
All right, sir.
Thank
Mr.
you.
John Matt Malloy.
Good evening, members of Planning and Zoning, citizens of Hickory Creek. I'm here to speak about the item that's before you on the construction area up on 35 in Turbeville. The widen the highway, it has to happen. I mean, I travel it every day, and as all of us have for many years, this is in this area 25 plus years. So it has to happen, and construction equipment and things of that nature to make it happen are part of the equation. It's got to take place. When you get south of Hickory Creek or south of the lake, there's not much land that is available for AGL/state to put their equipment, whatever site that you all approve. However, and I will say this from my heart, not from a citizen that owns land on Interstate 35. As you all know, I'm a citizen, but I'm also a developer, and I am pro-growth, but I'm pro-growth in an educated and smart way. If you all are to approve the special use permit, I truly believe there should be something in it for the citizens of Hickory Creek, and I'm sure the state, AGL, whoever can appreciate that there needs to be something for us besides just a widen the highway. With or without your cooperation, the highway's going to be wide, and that's a done deal. And they are the developer of the project. It's a design build. It's going to happen. However, I hope that you keep in mind that when we do this project, that we have, and if you do approve the special use permit, there is truly something in it for the citizens of Hickory Creek, and that is, i.e., widening the roads. Or right now we've got this 4-lane coming about halfway down past my property into your new intersection. Though they probably will not use our roads to get their equipment in and out, I think investing in our town, maybe our park and recreations, whatever you see fit, or whatever your recommendation to the council is going to be, I just think that there should be something in it for the citizens that might have to put up with, dealing with heavy equipment coming in and out every day, whether it's a dump truck or whether it's just 100 and some odd cars. I just hope that you consider the citizens of the town of Hickory Creek. Meet it on the public. Thanks for serving. Talk to you later.
Thank you very much. That concludes public comment except for Mr. Tully on the agenda item. Let's go to our regular business. Item 1, hear public comment on a request from AGL Constructors for a special use permit to install a construction yard on property located east of 1140 Point Vista. The legal description of the property is A0958A, McCarroll, tract 31, 11 3/4 approximate acres, Old DPA tract number 9, Hickory Creek, Denton County, Texas. Is there someone from AGL that has a presentation for us by chance? Would you like to do that at this time? Yes, sir.
Councilman, I
Sellers, a representative from AGL. The presentation we have, you'll see in front of you, is a drawing that was made up. Now this drawing and this presentation that we have to present to the city and to the landowner themselves can be changed and modified as we deem fit, or as the city may deem fit. We have spoken with half, which is about the city, and as far as environmental controls, we will maintain, we've answered Roger Magnum's request. The egress and egress for the project is stated upon half's report. The property use, there will be some, some job office trailers there, of course, some connexes for crews to work out of for the north end of the project. We'll have some material storage there, along with a small batch plant for concrete, i.e. or small asphalt plant to produce some asphalt for the project. There will be 4 trees that will be needed to remove. It's highlighted on the drawings. And again, we, as AGL, are subject to change the modified plan to see. But that is the project itself for the project, for the properties. That's what we need. It would benefit the project substantially to be able to have that SUP in place so we can utilize the property. It would benefit the north end of the project, it would benefit Hickory Creek. It benefits us on production, it benefits us to speed up the process of the work itself. It will help significantly, believe it or not, in safety, due to the fact we won't have as many trucks, big trucks running up and down the highway trying to get to Hickory Creek and bring material into us to work. So traveling public there is limited. We're going to wait here, we don't have to go from Dallas up here. Red River down. Other than that, gentlemen, what's our side? Do y'all have any questions?
I think we probably do.
Who
Who would like to start?
I'll go first.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Jeff Sellers.
Jeff, Mr. Sellers. I'm Tim Knight.
Yes, sir.
I've got a couple questions for you. What is the anticipated or expectation of, how long are you going to use this facility?
36 to 42 months.
Okay. I noticed on your plan in our packet that in the center of your exhibit, there's a green box that says a 6-foot chain link fence with plastic slats
Yes, sir.
is to be used. I've asked staff if that's going to be allowed, we may have to modify that.
We can do that.
As long as you are willing to do that.
The privacy fence.
Yes. And in particular, we've got existing residential
Right.
and we need to be cognizant of their security, their privacy, and their well-being. So I would like to very much revisit that particular screen, make sure that complies with our standard ordinances for construction fees. And lastly, my question would be, you mentioned in your opening statement it would benefit the town of Hickory Creek, it would benefit the state, it would benefit you. If you could maybe expand upon that. And I'm getting to where I'm leading to is Mr. Malloy's question, what's in it for Hickory?
That would be more of a question for the state as far as what would be in Hickory Creek. As far as the contractor, I'm not at liberty to say what would be benefit for y'all, except for the fact that your travel public would be safer without us having to have a truck running 80 miles an hour to get here on time for the project. It would expedite the project, speed up the process. So the progress is ugly, of course, but the final product sure is nice. But as far as any other benefits, I'm not agree with that to get that. It won't be to the state.
What is the limits of your scope? You said the north section. Does that go from Denton down to?
The limits of our scope actually, sir, go from 635 in Dallas to 380 in Denton.
Okay.
So it's pretty broad project. And this is, of course, 36 to 42 month project just for this part. Again, the rest of it is tax on the state feds. But our part of it right now is from 635 to 380. So this will be the northern part of the lake, is what we call the northern part of the project, to 380. So it would benefit that tremendously.
Do you have other yards along
Yes, we
that
do.
whole stretch
Yes, we do.
within communities?
Yes, we do.
And have you made concessions or have done anything extraordinary besides what you're proposing here in your customers?
The other properties that we do have on the southern end of the project belong to some, it's the same scenario. They lease it to the SUP to the county. And we make the property, we give it back as is or in better condition, whatever the property owner wants. The process we haven't had any issues with. And the other properties we use were, as you see, were residential stuff, where the SUP were the zoning could not change because of certain problems. We instead went with the state on the property and we were instead push the project forward.
And a question for council, would that be documented as far as restoring property back to the original condition?
Yes,
As
we
part
can.
of the SUP?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can specify that in the permit. And just to clarify, when we're speaking of the applicant and talking about concessions or whatever term we might use, as the engineer stated, as the questions indicate, our application does need to be tied specifically to the burden of their operations plus on the public. That might be in terms of wear and tear on the roads, mitigating the noise of their surrounding neighbors, those kinds of things we talk about. As far as concessions, those need to be tied to a particular project and the burden or hazard that they might be placing on the citizens. I think the engineers looked at some of those. We could certainly, Mr. May made the point about privacy fencing, but there are residences near the chain link fence might not be adequate. There may be some concerns with the particular town streets that like to be used. Is that just directly adjacent to the highway or?
Yes, it is. There's no city streets that would be utilized.
Okay.
We
So
would have our own.
that could be a concern, but apparently it's not. If they have big trucks coming down residential street, that's an example of something.
Yeah, the concrete trucks, you're right, man, so the streets wouldn't handle that at all. Matter of fact, we have an ordinance and a penalty, permit process, and I think you're gonna do that.
Yeah, it appears that's not a concern, and if it's a concern, we can address that. But I just want to make sure we kind of stuck to the particular hazards that their project raises.
So it appears that, I'm sorry, are you done?
If I answer Mr. May's question.
Good question. What are the hours of operation? The hours of operation. I'll wait for that.
With the sleep this time around.
Exactly. We have, our hours of operation are going to be from 6:30 in the morning to approximately 5 in the afternoon, daytime hours. Now, there are going to be some times where we will be working at night. Once the project goes, full blown, we're looking maybe this time next year, you'll see crews working on the highway at the top. The operation for the project, for in here right now, I'm going to tell you 80% of it's going to be just daytime hours, operational hours. And as we get further along into it, we may go over and do some night work, so that will be considered again.
Yeah, that's something that could be addressed in the program. Maybe if there's any light hours with the
Don't we have an ordinance, Lance, that construction is what, 7 to 10 or something?
I'm not sure what the hours are. It's probably, is that?
Quiet hours right now are 10 p.m. to 7 a.m.
So So, and we typically grant exceptions to that, so that might have to be part of the permit, if we grant 30 minutes for this operation.
So that is 6:30 a.m., how much congestion is going to be? That's the feed onto the highway, right? Am I looking at this correct?
Yeah, you have to remember.
That backs up without construction.
Yeah, we'll be going to the service road right there.
Those people who come around and over to Dallas and utilize that.
Anyway,
Is there any way they could consider possible, maybe like a little asphalt service road for them, where they could pull off that service road onto their own roll path?
Yes, there will be a construction, we will have an entrance right there, where you see plot number 229285. Coming off the service road there, that would be construction entrance.
Okay.
And then you would see that there would be, in and out right there on service road. Once some of that work starts in there and the design phases, I can't exactly tell you exactly when the service road work will probably start first. So that service road will probably be closed down anyway, except for us going in and out.
We don't, that's not our street controls.
Right. And that would be our only means of entrance and exit right there, so we wouldn't bother into the city streets or anything. And of course, the environmental stuff like half of that, plants that we have to apply with the state federal regulations. That's all.
You plan to have a diesel fueling facility there?
No, sir. No, sir. When we need fuel, our service truck will come and take care of that. We don't want to have storage tanks and stuff on the farm. We have to do a limited phase one environmental assessment prior to, and then we have to do a closure report when we leave also. So we don't want to take that risk of liability at this time.
Will there be one area that will be fueled? When the fuel truck comes in, or is everything going to be staged in one location to be fueled, or is he going to go this kind of property?
No, there'll be one spot.
Any way to put like some control,
Most of
a catch mat or something?
Oh, yes, the environmental, anything that we have in the fueling systems, we have a program in place that all fueling operations, there's spill kits there, there's everything, just in case, I mean, it has to be done. But you're not, maybe what we're gonna do, you're not thinking of all this heavy equipment lined up and being fueled at one time. The plant itself will run off natural gas. And so there will be no diesel plants or stuff, they'll only run for electric generation. So there wouldn't be any fuels for that. I mean, there might be a loader there or something like that, but you're not talking a whole bunch of heavy equipment parked out there.
Okay.
Most all that will be on site itself and fuel on site.
Yeah, I thought I heard you say something about a concrete mix plant.
And that's run off electricity. It's pretty quiet.
I'd like to see some contingency for additional noise screening. Trees aren't going to cut noise if there's a lot. If it gets to the point where we get complaints, I'd like to see something in place that, well, we're getting complaints, we're going to do this, and without having to negotiate that down the road.
There is a contingency on there. I mean, you guys send us what you, send me what you want. And we can sure reply to anything that you're asking. If you need something,
Wouldn't know the technical specs, but,
You familiar along Trinity Mills, past Josie going east? You familiar with the wall that they have there to control
well,
noise?
yeah, probably not going to ask them to build a permanent
All
wall.
I'm saying is,
it's always the noise wall.
I think, did they do the noise here and there when they put in the gas well?
The noise curtain.
Noise curtain. So
The way it's set up, I mean, we're gonna be flooding up off of the tree line, and plus we'll have
Well, yeah, and buildings are in between you.
buildings, yeah, and those aren't just regular.
But that's why I'm
construction.
saying a contingency plan rather than,
If you get the
let's do
funds.
it, yeah, if we start getting complaints, we know what we're gonna do, rather than, did you have,
I think we can have that as part of the actual permit when it comes to council. It's just a contingency noise abatement plan.
and then I had a question about, if, let's see, this is actually gonna be an asphalt batch paint plant, I've never actually been around one of those. What about, smell?
No, you're within so far the distance, your TCEQ, your air quality permits have to come into play, and we do this is what we do.
I understand, but I just, like I said, I've never been
I
around.
don't, yeah, and it's the newer plants that come out that we use. Like I said, again, it's run off natural gas, it's pretty quiet, the burner is very quiet. The small batch, like the concrete plant is pretty quiet too. Again, we have air quality permits for that too, so we don't.
So TCQ would be,
Yeah, we have to have those
would be
permits in
the,
place.
remedy if there were an issue there.
But that's all the permits we have to have in place prior to any.
And I guess also part of the application process, we need to get copies of all the permits.
Oh, yeah, I mean, the landowner would have,
Okay,
yeah, he has to have those. We have to submit those along with our.
okay, just so we've got those on file, and whether those are up to date, current, that's got, enforcement provisions in offices. But I got TCEQ has jurisdiction over your quality permit.
Yes, sir.
When you're done with construction, how long do you think it will take you to restore this site back to its, very nearly its original condition?
It's up to the landowner, how he would like it restored back to. He may want to leave it, he wants it developed, he may want to leave it level with raised parking and stuff. It's basically up to him. If he wants it back to original, then that's fine.
So you think you'll be done in about 42, 43 months, maybe 44, whatever?
Honestly, we're shooting for 36.
Lance, is there an opportunity or is it appropriate to have a time limit on the special use permit since this is a temporary construction site?
Yeah, you could make it annual, subject to renewal, just to revisit it. That's probably be my recommendation, so
Okay.
it's not a 3-year deal, it's a, the operator knows that, as they're operating, they're gonna have to come back in a year, and there's all this things that you know, West Nights. This chair, since it's a public hearing, I'm not listening if there's more public comment. If there's not, you can actually probably transition just to the agenda item itself.
Okay.
Everybody's up here expressing everybody's mind.
Is this a point where Mr. Tully would like to offer some comments, or do you want to reserve that to a later time?
I was speaking I was hoping to speak on agenda item D,
Oh, okay.
the Waterview Estates, but I can see with the ramifications for traffic getting in and out of Lakeview, the subdivision is going to be an issue for all the residents there, especially as you say, they start early when you're trying to get out to go to work and they're still there when you're coming home. Oh, no, that's.
Okay.
Is that it for comments, or we want to comment any further? Or no?
Well, are there any other comments?
Just curious, and I've met Mr. Seller before, I'm the adjacent property owner. My question is going to be, you say in order for something to be in the city, we got to go to the state, correct?
Yes, because I'm not at liberty to say that we can give back something to the city.
No, I understand, I completely understand your position, but as we talked about, because you and I talked about using some of my property, however, I was upfront with Andrew and you, that in order for me even to consider it, there would have to be something in it for the city. And if the state is that decision-making person, which our city has already been dealing with the state to try to get them to extend Turveyville and try to realign out Point Vista, you know, me personally, I would believe that the P and Z would yield to that and maybe yield it to council, and not make a decision tonight because, you know, there truly has to be something in it for the city. I mean, I have the 11 acres next to it, and we're obviously not going to lease together, and it has nothing to do with that. But it just has nothing to do with that. But this is me speaking as John Malloy, citizen, longtime citizen of Hickory Creek. You know, there is going to be, regardless of what anybody says, there is going to be traffic issues with a construction site, and there is going to be safety issues. I mean, I think we could question our police department and ask our police chief how many tickets has they given out between Swisher and the Pig, and I guarantee you're going to hear that number to be about 10 a day. And with heavy equipment coming in and out and going onto the highway, there's got to be some way to get the people that are going to be down Turbyville. We've got developers that have invested millions and millions of dollars in homes, brand new apartment complexes, not even open. The asphalt plant will beat it. And there's got to be something in it for the city. And I was clear when I talked to all council. I was clear with y'all when I talked to y'all. That's my heart of hearts. There's got to be something in it for the citizens of Hickory Creek, not just the landowner, not just AGL, and not just the state. There's got to be something in it for the citizens. And I've said my piece. That's all I've got to say.
I just wish I could get that.
I understand. So if you can't, then I think the decision needs to wait until the state and the council can work something out. I think the decision today is premature. I'll leave it at that.
My next question to the council was going to be the SUP itself. Being that it would be for this one property, would the SUP encompass the rest of the properties?
Well, the SUP is on a
For this particular project.
particular tract, 11-acre tract.
What about that whole corner, besides the textile? But again, Mr. Malloy's, if we could, would the SUP, or we got to go back to a separate one on that other parcel?
When you say on the parcel, if it's not included on this 11-acre tract, then there would have to be I mean, we're considering tonight an SUP for this particular tract that's on the agenda.
And so we could submit in for a separate one on that parcel.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I know you always want to get things done as soon as possible, but what's your time frame on getting this done? I mean, when do you have to have a decision?
Well, we would like to move into the property once we receive the SUP. We'd like to move into the property in September, start building the fence and set it up and start running the new gas line. And new gas line run up through the properties in there, so. But that was the relocation we had, extending it again. Again, that might be a benefit to the city. You got a new gas service coming in all the way past John, where it's not there now. So big new development. That's just, I can't tell you any of the others. That is something else that is coming. Our plan is to come in September if we continue to do next week after council meetings.
As I understand it, the agenda item is this specific site right here.
That's correct, sir. I was just asking the other question, if it could.
As our city attorney has pointed out, that would have to be a separate.
Just a separate application.
Application. Any other questions or comments?
Let me just clarify that. That separate application would be an SUP to provide ingress and egress to this tract. Is that correct?
Well,
No, so it could be another construction.
yeah, I take that to mean just another piece of property where they were going to be operating. I don't know what all that would encompass.
That's,
Were you talking about the properties down there on the other side?
all the adjacent properties to this.
Yeah, if it needed to expand beyond this 11 acres, that would need to be a separate issue.
Mr. House, can I make a comment?
Sure, go ahead.
Charles Hickory, 3 Home Tree Lane in Hickory Creek. I would like to see the council or the planning and zoning make sure that there's some measures taken against the trash that's going to be spread all over town. I know how construction sites are, and the trash just builds up, and if Jeffrey and his gang have to go out and clean up the trash, then town needs to be compensated for that. Or they need to hire somebody to come in and clean up the trash if they're not cleaning it up themselves. Thanks.
That could be part of the permit that we can mandate receptacles or whatever's needed.
Dumpster, 40-foot dumpster, whatever they need.
And that's something that we can look at between now and the council meeting when it's actually considered, just traditional restriction.
I don't think there'll be a problem with any trash pickup that's being on our, as landowners. We're right there with it. And we're gonna be the first to see it, we'll be the first to say something about it. That doesn't seem to be an issue with me.
There would be dumpsters on the site because we have truck that trash pickup coming for the office body and all this trash and pick up the place once a week.
But as you know, many other construction sites, trash flows around.
It loves, yeah. And we have a strict compliant rule with the feds and the state and EPA. Once a week, our environmental team goes through the whole project. We have 1,000 people working in our office, and then we're going to have even more on the project working. Once a week, each segment has an environmental manager that goes through, and that segment has 4 days to comply. And part of it is floatable and global trash.
Another question. 36 months. All the equipment that travels in and out of that property is going to be serviced, repaired, tires changed, oil changed. It will not be done on the property. We'll move all the equipment out to that. We'll have, it's a flat or something. Most of it will be on the site. It's not a construction yard for equipment. It's more for the textile offices. We'll have 8-plex office buildings in there. You won't see just a small construction, but these are big, long 8 places. It's going to be 7 long back things. Textile being there, we have land personnel in there, supervisors, second manager, textile representatives. So it's not a construction equipment. We'll have some trucks coming in and out of that all the time. But as far as heavy machinery, greasing, and stuff, most of that's going to be on site. If something on the site breaks down, it goes to our shop. And part of replacing all trucks.
Any other thoughts?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Chairman Richard Freed, 23 Royal Oaks, Boulevard, Hickory Creek. I've talked with some citizens who have some concerns. I'm going to forward this question. If it's an asphalt mix project, is there going to be a lime mix involved in this, lime slurry?
Not on this, not for us. There will be some lime stabilization on the project, but there will not be a slacker or a slurry.
There will not be. Okay, so that was a concern. Smoke and dust, regardless of the air quality standard, you can't prevent it. Okay, thank you.
Okay. When we move to agenda item
Which was a public hearing.
yeah, close public hearing.
Thank you.
Yes, that would be item 2. Let's do that. Item 2. We've got item 1. So we got a consent agenda on C. Any comments on the meeting minutes from
We've got
July?
another public hearing, but just go to D2.
Just go to D2.
All right, we'll jump down to D2.
Beg your pardon, I'm just here for item number 2. Is there a plat for item number 2? I'm one of the neighbors that's affected by that.
For this one we were just talking about,
Yeah.
it was on the table.
That's all I need. So let me take a look at it. If I have any questions, I'll
Okay, item 2. Your public comment on a request from the Smedley Revocable Trust for a final plan on some condition.
Go to D2.
I thought it was on D2. I thought it was on D2. Oh, I'm sorry. Discuss and consider, there we go. And act on a recommendation for a request from AGO contractor for special use permit, et cetera, et cetera. Go ahead.
Are you saying we need to include all of our comments in a motion, or just that permit will be drawn up between now and then before council sees? Make sure I'm clear on the motion.
Well, I think we have in the record some of the comments that were made. I would probably just make a motion to approve, to recommend, if you want to recommend approval, to recommend approval contingent upon the public health and safety issues being addressed from now to council meeting with our town engineer.
Noise abatement, fencing, et cetera, et cetera.
Just put it on the list.
Correct.
I'd like to move that we recommend council to approve the request from AGL Constructors for a special use permit to install a construction yard on property located east of 1140 Pointchester Road. Legal description being A0958A Carroll, tract 31, 11 acres, well, recap tract number 9, Hickory Creek, Texas. With the addition that the health and safety issues that have been addressed in the public hearing be addressed before council. Before the council meeting, yeah, addressed between now and the council meeting.
So here a second. All in favor?
Discussion?
Yeah.
You want a discussion? Okay.
Do we have enough information with this? So now,
According to the engineer, they reviewed it and their questions were answered. I think probably the comments tonight are some additional questions that we can revisit with the engineers just to make sure. And those again can be asked at the council meeting before it's actually approved.
and your, Rodney, your motion was contingent upon
Those things being addressed.
those things being addressed by the town engineer, is that correct?
Or being addressed between now and the council meeting.
Verbiage in the special use permit, that's the motion.
Okay.
So those, council will see those. Make their decision based on those recommendations.
You can also clarify that was for an annual permit.
Oh, yes, for annual. That's the one thing we didn't want to add.
Chris, did you get all that?
I'll go back through it.
Can you read that back to us now?
No.
No.
All I got is health and safety issues addressed during the public hearing will be addressed before the council meeting, and I'll go back to the notes and get the TCEQ requirements and the fencing and all of that. And
It's been 1 year ago.
And when-
1 year ago.
when they were-
Specifically,
yeah.
they were visual fence
the fencing.
question, sound abatement if necessary, and trash pickup. I think they addressed that pretty well.
The hours of operation.
The hours of op, yes.
They need a waiver for 6:30, I guess it is.
Okay.
Or we have some.
One or the other.
Well, the issue was notification one issue was notification for, if they were gonna go outside those hours.
Would that be a 48-hour notification?
Almost standard.
business
That's
days at
probably-
least,
yeah,
yeah.
that would probably do it for us.
Yeah.
But again, all that would be formulated between now and council, so the council will have something they can work. They'll have those specifics.
Lance, did we miss anything?
We could get a copy of those notes.
I will.
Okay, I've heard a motion and a second. Are we ready to vote? All in favor? Unanimous.
I think we'll go back to the public hearing again, Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Public hearing number 2, public comment on request from Smedley Revocable Trust for final plat in Smedley addition. Do we have anyone that wants to make any
I can
comments?
make a comment.
Yes, sir, why don't you come up and
Sure.
talk to us?
My name is Jim Schmuck from Blue Max Arts Associates, and I represent the Smedley Trust. And it's simply a matter of that this property's been in the family for some years, and they wish to sell it. The best way to do that is by residential lots. They propose dividing the property into 2 lots, just under 1 acre each. And we've had the sanitation evaluation all done in accordance with the code.
How do those 0.8 acre tracts compare with the other lots in the area? Now, there are some large lots.
Some are large, but there are some as small as half an acre also in that.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure what the small lots were.
And actually, there was the option of dividing this property into 3 lots. You could meet the sanitation requirements for septic system with 3 lots, but it's just being divided into 2. We should make it a little more attractive development.
See, if we got a drawing on that somewhere?
Page 10.
Page 10.
I guess the engineer had some comments. Did we get corrected drawings on that?
So the company is supposed to provide them.
Yeah, there's some setback issues.
Yeah, there was, it should be in their page, hold on just 1 second, I added it in today. I gave me the comments,
Is that like 12 or something?
I think it's farther back than that.
15 and 12 is what I haven't seen the revised document.
Could just do this. Okay, one of the comments was,
Setbacks.
Yeah, setbacks was one.
oh, the setbacks,
Front side, rear setbacks.
In front side, rear.
Yeah, I don't think what's on here is.
okay, it's page number 35.
Exhibit, I think what you're saying, exhibit presented does not comply.
Yes.
Well, there were comments.
I'm sorry, it's page 24.
35 is a markup.
Yeah, it's page number,
30 what?
we got a lot of pages in here, I'm sorry.
Which page?
Page number 24.
24.
Yes, sir. No, I'm sorry, that's not it. I am so confused.
10 is the old.
No, we have not gotten comments back on that one yet. It was Tim that sent me some questions, most of which I was able to answer. I have not got anything back from the, I'm sorry, I've not got anything back from the contractor yet.
I've spoken with Arthur Surveying, and they said they would.
They had not sent it back to me yet.
Then
I'm sorry, I was thinking of the wrong.
it would appear appropriate to table this until we can receive the updated drawings for the plat. Is that not correct?
Well, we could recommend approval contingent on those,
Okay.
on those waivers.
All right, that's another way to do it, sure. Yeah.
So we don't have to republish.
Yeah, the engineers didn't seem, they said they gave the comments, but they had not heard anything back, but they weren't real.
What page are the comments? 30?
Looks like just some notes need to be given on why that was.
Yeah, just to show, I found it finally. It shows the zoning and setbacks, and there's a the floodplain. And, I don't believe any of the lots are within 1,000 feet of any existing or gas or oil.
There are houses on either side of the
Yes. Houses and, vacant lots.
Can't imagine you're under your plant, there. So, that's not a big issue.
Contingent on those three items.
If it is, but.
I don't believe so that far up, down at the other end of the block, there might be some floodplain issues, but this end of the block,
Not
no.
where that is. It's
Okay.
But he still has to show, the
Yeah,
surveyor
there
still
are.
has to.
not. They're just making sure that if it is, it's on there, but.
That's something that can be added easily before the council meeting.
Okay.
Just a picky thing, there's
Yeah,
a
this
fourth,
is close.
the location map has the street name on
And
it.
there's no oil or gas.
It has been fixed.
It's 10,000 feet.
correct. Timberlake has been correct.
Timberlake is the correct name.
Okay.
There's no oil or gas.
Not in that area, no. This is right off of Southfield.
Yeah, that's my neighborhood.
Oh, yes.
Well, this is not my neighborhood, it's in the,
It's in here.
the bigger.
Okay. All right, we can hash that out. Any other comments or questions?
This is another one, Mr. Chairman, we can move to the agenda item.
Okay.
There's no more public comment.
Guess there's no public comments, so let's go to the agenda items. What page for that date? Agenda. Agenda. Real quick and
Page 26.
Looks like page 26.
26. Agenda item D3. Discuss considering a recommendation for a request from Smedley Irrevocable Trust for final plan on the Smedley addition, lots 1 and 2, block A, et cetera, time survey. Okay. Any other comments, questions? Yes. Go ahead.
I move that we recommend the council to approve the request from Smedley Revocable Trust for a final plat on the Smedley addition block 1 2 block A, being 1.730 acre tract in Elcott survey, 204 tract 130 Hickory Creek, County, Texas. Oh, yes, with the contingency that the concerns of the town engineer be addressed on the drawings.
Second.
Hearing a second, we'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Carries. See if we can find our agenda again. Consent agenda. Page 12. There it is. Consent agenda item, May meeting minutes. These are the line minutes.
Individual items.
One looking at says,
You're looking at the minutes you're trying to approve, and I've already corrected that on those minutes. It's not May's minutes, it's March's minutes. May we cancel. So that correction has already been made.
okay. Okay. Any other comments? Very much.
Move to approve consent agenda items as presented.
For a second? All in favor? What's our next item?
D3.
That's on D1.
You want me to go ahead and skip down to D3 and go ahead and do bar review and then do the officers last? That's what goes far into the meeting.
Which page, which page are we on
Yeah,
It's over here, it's over here.
page,
Agenda item D3, discuss and consider an act on,
we did that before.
did we just do that?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go to D4.
D4.
Yes.
There's Robert Half report again. D4, here we go. Discuss and consider and act on a recommendation regarding a preliminary plat from Waterview Estates, S.A. Jones Survey Tract 20, 13.53 acres, old DCAT tract, number 1B, Hickory Creek, Benton County, Texas. It appears we also have some other drawings along with it. Okay. Do we have any comments from the city engineer on this?
There should be attached.
The only real concern that we need to address is the tree requirements. The others is, they say we can be done on construction drawings. They have some concerns, but that's the only one we really needed to address.
The tree plan?
The tree plans, whether or not they needed to add any trees in the pond area to meet that.
Is that just
Well,
compliance with the tree preservation ordinance?
I think so, but actually it's, the question is, was allowing the pond to meet those requirements part of the developer agreement?
Well, there wasn't, and I'm with Chris Jack, there's not a.
There is a developer's agreement in place.
There isn't one?
They just did the PD when they originally adopted this back in, when it was rezoned back in last September or August.
Was there a site
It
plan?
was-
Was there a site
It was a
plan?
site plan, but it was that the design was different than this.
Yeah, it was a different developer at that time.
So actually, they didn't leave any of the pond in that.
No, they did have one that did leave part of the pond, but there is no developer's agreement in place.
So,
I guess it doesn't, I guess, Chris, my initial reading is that the tree preservation plan will not necessarily be part of plating, I mean, we're just dividing these lots.
At this point, yes.
yes,
Because before the final plat submitted, it needs to have a landscape plan that shows what they're gonna do with the trees. There is a tree plan in here, I believe. Just through it so many times I've lost it. There's a tree plan in there, but it does not address how they'll mitigate.
Yes, sir. Would you like to help?
My name is Jeff Crown, Crown Martin Engineering. I've been the engineer on this from its inception, and here I am again. I think we're going to try and set a record on a number of times.
yeah, you look familiar.
Well, I'm not going to shed some light, and again, we're looking for clarification as well. I'll kind of go through the history. I think a lot of y'all's faces I still see again. We originally brought this plan in, contentious plan, deleting the entire pond. We then backed up, said let's save a large percentage of the pond. Now we're back in today, taking 2 more lots off the plan, as well as some cul-de-sacs, and the pond stays basically in its form as it was before. So that's kind of the brief history. We spent so many minutes and hours on the overall plan itself and the pond, and there was just so many concerns that neighbors had that I think this issue got overlooked. So it was kind of our initial thought from day one to say, well, let's go back, let's save this pond, let's use that as part of our credits toward this. But again, it's such a contentious project that I think that part, it never got its due discussion. at P&Z and or council. One thing I will add, that the current plan removes the little short cul-de-sacs we had along the west side of the property. Basically, that does a lot of benefits for us as well as the property, as well as the neighbors. It deepens the lots, which means our house will be further away from the property line. It also gives us more lot square footage to save the trees that are along both east and west property lines. So we'll be saving 60–70% of trees, regardless of what you guys tell us. Every developer wants to save every tree they can, but that's private homeowner wants to have a tree in the front yard. There's some in the streets and there's some in the back we just can't save. So really, we're looking for guidance and discussion. We're focusing on this as well, so it doesn't need to be papered up and locked up, so that's kind of what we're going to see.
There'll be a homeowners, an HOA for this area, and they'll maintain the pond and all that, right?
That's the current plan.
Okay. My feeling is that the concessions that you've made in saving the pond, while we're not, might not do might not meet the tree number, I think you've made an exceptional thing here, and I would personally think that this could serve as mitigation for any problems with the tree king.
I'm thinking the same thing.
Yeah, saving that pond is a big thing. Planting a new trees, 3-inch caliber trees is very small compared to that. And if the people that live there are going to use that pond, if they want to plant a few small trees, I'm sure that they can come up with some more trees for that. So I'm good with it as it stands without any other mitigation.
Any other questions or comments?
I have, where's the other, sewer line easement they're trying to do?
Yeah, Sally.
The water line. Yeah, I talked to him today too. He couldn't tell me what lots it was.
I can tell you.
I talked to Lake Cities, they haven't reviewed this. They want 3 easements totally dedicated for them. 2 of them are already on the plan, and I'm trying to determine where the third one was.
27, 28.
Between 27 and 28. They're wanting to put in
This is
access for them so that if there's any future development to the east of the property, they'll already have those lines in place.
There's concern about sanitary sewer to the east. We actually had a fellow call us last week to discuss development of that property. It's a unique little project, I'm kind of excited about it. But they were concerned about sewer, we're going to give them a 15-foot easement, and if it ever is needed, then they'll have access. If it's not needed, then.
And which side of the property is that?
It's between 2 lots, 27 and 28,
Oh, okay.
East.
on the east side.
That's over here.
Mr. Crandall, do you have anything more for us?
Mr. Tully, do you have anything else you want to speak on?
Oh, yes.
I was trying to prep the road for Mr. Tully there.
I know you were trying to get everything going here. And I'll be as brief and succinct as possible. Dennis Tully, 240 Bartley. We went through this last year, basically. I have a copy of the old plan that he did with the small cul-de-sacs. Basically, there's a small improvement, but the things that I would like to address that I feel should be addressed are, number one, the fact that the length of the street with the cul-de-sac is too long for our fire code. They haven't addressed that. Why? I don't know. Maybe they don't think it'll be a fire. The other thing I don't really think that they've addressed about what I don't like is the plan for a sewage line behind my property when there's already adequate sewage. So that's a question in my mind. As well as, and this is the big thing, because this is pretty much the same plan as last year, I don't feel that there's any way that they can adequately build a street, a
concrete, heavy street like they're talking about, overfill and not in time have that street sink. We've seen engineering problems before. LBJ Freeway is an example. There's others. It's just the nature of the land here in Texas. Especially when you have a slope. If you guys look at that plan, that thing slopes almost 13 feet from the top of Hickory Creek down to that pond. And that pond is there because of the drainage for our Lakeview Point Vista Phase 2 development, which is important. And I can appreciate them maintaining most of that pond. But it seems to me that long after this project is completed, long after the developer and everybody's gone, when that boat sinks, and we all know it will, it's going to be the town of Hickory Creek that's going to be paying for it. When, if you look at the little flyers that I gave you, there is an opportunity to get more for less. That is, bigger lots, fewer houses, but more price. Now, I don't know what the developer's margins are right now, and of course, that basically comes down to him. But I would think that if there was a way that you could keep the entire pond, have the cul-de-sac within the length required for our fire code, so it's safer, and get as much or more money for it, that'd be a win-win situation for the town and the developer. So that is something that I would think it would be nice to consider. The other thing is that who is going to, Ronnie brought up a good point, who is going to take care of that pond? Is that pond 1X, is that lot going to be for sale? It is. Can I buy it? It's a pond. It's right behind my house. So these are other things in consideration. And for that reason now, because we have the rehashing of the same thing we had last year, I would recommend that we disallow this plan, send it back to the drawing board, and come back with something that is a little bit more in line with the times, and that also would take into consideration the feelings of those people that it's going to have those houses behind it. So one more thing, and then I'll go. What we're talking about traffic, and this ties in. If we're going to have construction on there, and I don't care if there's a pond there or not, or how many houses, what's the only egress and ingress? Hickory Creek Road. Now, if they're going to have that highway construction for the next 36 months, that's going to cause even more traffic problems. So that means you'll have concrete trucks coming down Point Vista going through there if they can't go down Hickory Creek Road. Just something else to consider. Laws of unintended consequences oftentimes rear their ugly heads. Gentlemen, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kelly.
Question. I know that some months ago, the council passed an ordinance adopting a new, what was an engineering design manual. Did that just become a drainage, or is that road construction as well?
I believe there's road construction there too. I have not, I have not gotten all the way through yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's several inches thick.
Right.
I know that it's the most up-to-date standard that's used in
Right.
Texas for engineering, design, and construction. Anybody who builds and develops will be subject to that. So whatever the issue is with the field and the streets, that's why we have engineers, and why we have them review the plans and inspect the plans before it's built and then inspect it when it's constructed. Certainly not to guarantee that roads fail in the future.
Right.
But that's essentially what owners and applicants are subject to, are the rules that we adopt, and they'll be held to that before any construction is done and before those roads are accepted by the towns.
Yes, they will be reviewed by half with the construction plans. They will have to be signed off on before any roads can be built. So half will have to review it.
Well, I vaguely remember about a year ago having a discussion with this gentleman out here about some of the trials and tribulations of Brown and Root at the Trinity Mills I-35 intersection. And they did everything they thought was appropriate, and it still sank.
Yeah.
I mean, they line stabilized that thing, I think, for 4 or 5 weeks pumped, as I recall. But I think it would be normal practice, would it not, to do soil samples along the route of the street so that you could see if there's any surprises underneath for proper stabilization? I think that's one of the main issues is once you guys do this and make a fortune and go retire in the Bahamas, you know, we have the streets.
I agree with that. We're not trying to rewrite any engineering codes, practices, or standards. We're going to follow those. I think we've been successful in this town. So I'm not going to ask for any various exceptions or deviations from any of the requirements. This pipe does meet all of the requirements of the city, all the ordinances, so.
And that's essentially what they're subject to do with the subdivision plan, is that we have to meet our requirements, and the engineer says that, well, I think we answered the true mitigation issue, but the engineer states that they haven't met those. And again, the standards that we've had in place for the last 6 or 8 months are a lot stricter, higher standards than what we've had in the past, or many roads get currently here, so new stuff being built in the next, the coming years is going to be subject to stricter standards than what we've had in the past.
To address one of Mr. Tully's items, I talked to Chad Thiessen in the fire department, and he has reviewed the plan for the fire hydrants, and he was good with the plan. And I asked him, I said, well, isn't the street pretty long? And he said something to the effect that I think we've got a wider street now, do we not?
Yes, for 31.
Yeah, he said, yeah, the street's a little wider, and that kind of helps address some of the issues with the longer street.
And then it's also has for no parking signs on one side, so that we don't have double parking and one narrow street. So we're on the same page with Chad. I want his blessing.
I understand. Otherwise, they would drive down the street and take off all the rearview mirrors.
More than that. Yeah, we're agreeing with Chad. We
Okay.
come with his comments.
Okay. That is an interesting question, Lance. Whose pond is it? Is it the city parks pond? Is it the development pond? Is it the HOA's pond?
Well, it doesn't indicate on the plat that it's being dedicated to the city. I mean, it's the developer's pond now. And typically, that's what happens when they sell the lots and build the houses. Up until that time, the developer controls the HOA. It's populated out there, it'll be turned over to the HOA.
So it'll be our baby ducks again, right?
I'm sorry?
It'll be our baby ducks on the pond, yeah. The city's baby ducks on the pond.
Well, typically, they're not dedicated, typically, they're not publicly dedicated, it'll be owned by the HOA.
Okay.
Does that mean I can charge the city then for feed and storage?
Probably not. One of the things that has reached my desk is some comments about sanitary sewer line, which is directed back to the engineer. Robert Hamm and Associates representative is not here, and a comment had been made that what would be the feasibility of using the existing 8-inch sewer line provided when Standard Pacific built the project originally? Is that 8-inch line got fall issues that you go work for us?
I would love to use that 8-inch line and save us about $20,000.
I was gonna say, it saved you money.
It's about 4 feet up in the air. We can use it if we pump up into it. LCMUA doesn't like pumps. We don't like pumps. We did find a gravity feed solution with about another 600 feet of sewer line. And so
How many feet?
about 600 to get over, down, back over, and board underneath that's on the floor.
Well, wouldn't a double pump lift station be cheaper than running all that line?
Well, yes and no. You just, TCQ requires a generator now for all those stations. LCUA does have what they call little individual pumps built in garages. We've got 50 or 60 of them around town that they do own and maintain and operate. But it's just not the best system for us long term, nor the city, nor LCUA. It's just better to have a gravity flow. And we feel like we can gravity flow it. It's a little extra cost, but it's the best system if we've got that option. My original plan was to go into that. It would reduce about 6 to 7 feet of fill on that site down at the pond. And the cost of that is fairly high as well. It's just, yes, there's a sewer stub over there, it's just up in the air. We're downhill from Barkley, and we keep going downhill. We have the same situation to our east, we're gonna give them a stop that they can't get into, pump into. So, just trying to get sewer to go well, that doesn't work well.
Flower Mound had lots of issues a few years back with that 3-inch and 4-inch mains for large residential areas. You may not get all those. It was a challenge. Another thing that's happened in the last few months is the new 10-inch water line. Is you're aware of?
12.
Maybe it's 12.
Well, it's coming down Hickory Creek. The state's actually working on that, to my knowledge. So they agreed to pay that 12-inch cost, and we'll do a short extension for it. So, yeah, we've been in discussion with Mike and Jeff over at
All right, so you're up to speed on that.
We're up to speed with them.
Okay.
We're up to speed with me. Somebody's up to speed.
We're on the same page anyway. Okay. Any other questions, comments?
I have several.
Okay, go ahead.
One of my comments, I shared these comments with Chris, and she was, I commend her for her rapid response since I gave them to her 2:30 this afternoon. She hadn't back within an hour, so, but I did want to bring these up. Regardless of whether she answered them or not, I too had a concern on the cul-de-sac length. I measured roughly 1,150 feet of cul-de-sac. And, most DFW cities are about a 600-foot minimum or maximum. And, my concern was emergency services. And it's not only the fire, but it's also going to be police, ambulance. That would need to weigh in on that over length, what I consider an over length. Now, I have not been able to find in our ordinance a maximum length yet. I have not checked the fire code, as Mr. Tully has referred to. I have not checked that code, but I would encourage our town engineer to investigate that further. And understand, as Chris responded, the fire marshal has looked at the plans. But my concern is he's looked at it from a firefighting hydrant water volume standpoint, but has he looked at it from an access standpoint. My second point was, and I think that's been answered, is has LCMU been reviewing the sewer as well as the water plants? And I think I've gotten some satisfaction on that response. Streetlights, are we planning streetlights on this street?
Those are part of the construction plan.
But will there be?
There'll be streetlights, yes.
The other issue is, if you look at lot 38, which is the first lot coming into the subdivision on the east side.
What page are you on?
I'm on page 46.
46.
And in reference to that entry median of the subdivision, my concern is whether there's a safe and adequate turning to get to a driveway. It's a lot 38.
Yeah, that median is what we propose, and actually it's going to be a tree in that median, so you said that for that reason. I'd rather keep the median, it does make a difficult turn. Quite honestly, I think that lot 38 guy and lot 1, I think they're probably going to come backwards down that street road and probably turn it down. That's what I see happening.
And our planning cannot encourage that.
I don't encourage it. What did he say? I don't encourage it, but I don't live there.
You're going to go backwards?
It's, yes, they'll be going in the wrong way, basically, for about 20 or 30 feet.
I would encourage shortening that median in length. To
Or
try to
doing away with
Go
it.
for 30-inch oak tree. That's the reason that median is there, so.
How wide are you showing that median?
I think it's 10-inch oak tree.
A 30-inch.
Can we put some bricks in the street and like they do in some
It's a
areas?
great idea, and we've actually used impervious pavement for that reason.
You can
So
put something, just kind of leave the tree there, and if the drum hits it, well, the tree wins, you know?
It's a pretty good idea. I mean, will that tree live or not, I don't know, I'd like to make a shot at it. Rather than just,
Why have a median at all?
so, but that's the reason it's set up like that. We don't need a median, but
How about if we brick it in the area, so you don't have to put the median, and then you don't have the temptation for folks to drive on the wrong side of the road? Just a thought.
The trees at the southern end of that thing. I mean, so we can work out those details. I agree, it's an issue. that we have in many of our subdivisions, and what I see people doing is just kind of cutting the corner on that.
And even a lesser popular movement as far as vehicles are concerned is someone leaving the subdivision and trying to turn left into lot one. May have against flow.
Well, that's exactly what keeps you going out, you can sit in the wrong lane,
Yeah.
and gets run over and gets run over like me.
As much as I hate to ring a bell on a tree, I'm a landscape architect. Believe me, I hate to ring a bell on a tree, but safety has to come first.
Exactly, and we can delete the median, that's certainly a very real option.
I just want you to look at that and consider that there's those safety issues from that standpoint. And then perhaps not so much your plan, Mr. Crandall, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But one of staff and council. Chris provided me PD SF3 for review, since this is actually only my second P&Z meeting, so I'm trying to catch up to speed. When I first reviewed this, I thought we were just straight SF3 zone, and we had some compliance issues, and that's why I asked the question to Chris, and she cordially brought me the PD format. If I look at the PD in particular, there's a lot of front-end language that obviously goes with the PD, but the meat and potatoes is back on Exhibit B of the ordinance. And I may be the only one with a copy of this, I don't know. You probably are. Okay. Some of my questions would be, and referring to your preliminary plat, on the right side of the plan, right above the title block, you have some zoning language in there. You have 4 bullet points regarding the SF3 zone. And when I cross-reference that to the PD, there's some discrepancies. On item 1, you say a minimum distance from any side building line to the property line at any point should not be less than 5 feet. That is correct, and in that ordinance. In the case of corner lot where the side of a lot faces another intersecting street, there should be a side yard not less than 15 feet. That's covered. And we get down to item 2, the minimum width of the lot should be 60 feet at the building line and 20 feet at the front property line. And when I cross-reference that to Exhibit B, item 3, there's some language in that PD ordinance I think needs to be clarified or cleaned up. The PD language reads, the minimum width of lot should be 60 feet at the building line and 30, and then in parentheses, the minimum 20 feet at the front property line. My question is to staff, is that meant, typically you go with a written number, so it'd be a 30 feet, and they're proposing a 20 foot? Yeah.
I'll see what you're probably understanding.
Okay. And then I think that last comment does not mean to say property line, but it means to read at the front building line. Is that correct?
On which one, 2, the last?
I'm talking about the PD work.
Okay.
I think what the intent is, if you're on a cul-de-sac situation, that on a cul-de-sac with a narrower lot width at the cul-de-sac, that the building line will still meet the minimum building width. But some cul-de-sac lots can be 20 or 30 feet wide.
But you're not proposing a wedge shaped lot.
We eliminated all those, so they're all rectangular lots, so.
Okay. So I think there's just some of that cleanup we need to do, whether we address it formally through a separate item in the future or a condition of any kind of a motion that may be made tonight. And then your third bullet point on your plan says the minimum lot depth shall be 110 feet. And even though that's not stated in the PD ordinance, it does exceed the typical SF3 lot depth requirement of 100 feet. And then the last item is the one where I may be overlooking something or missing something. You say the minimum lot area in acreage. Yeah, which I understand, shall be 7,200 square feet. And nowhere in this PD zoning do I see that 7,200 minimum square feet. You've got a minimum width and a minimum lot, and I think what you've done is multiply the two, and that becomes your minimum square footage. But as you can see in the PD ordinance, if it's not specifically stated that the minimum lot is 7,200 square feet, is not adhered to, or is not specifically described, then it reverts back to SF3 zoning, which is a minimum 9,000 square foot.
E2 was discussed at the PD zoning,
About a year ago, didn't we?
yeah, I mean,
And like I said, this is my second meeting, so I'm not up to snuff on it.
The reason for doing a PD is if you have a situation where, because of the property might not meet all the requirements of one of the SFs, okay? But it's still developable, so you do a planned development and you can work around some of those issues. Some of the things that we've done in the past for that is smaller lots, more open space.
And that's usually a concession made.
And yes, concession made when the zoning is changed. Basically, they come and say, here's what we want to do, and we need to do this with, we want to do this as a PD because of these issues. And so all those things are taken care of in that zoning change when the PD is brought to it.
But my point is, Rodney, I don't
Yeah,
think
there's problems with it.
it's not written.
Yeah, and I think, essentially what you're trying to get to is the intent of the council when they pass the ordinance. Ideally, that's within the four corners of the document. If you read the document, there's a discrepancy or inconsistency. I think the best place to go back would be just the history of the discussion and the application itself.
What your point's taken, like Lance is saying here, the 7,200 square feet kind of evolved because of the other issues that we're all trying to massage simultaneously.
So that may be indicated in the record if we go back to their actual PD application. That if that's indicated in the discussion or in the motion, it's not unusual to have a inconsistency between the application and what we talk about when actually it's passed.
And I would very much appreciate that clarification, that history. A couple other things. On the plat, usually a -X lot is listed in the lot table as an unbuildable lot. Is that somewhere shown, or?
We call it lot 1 X, is what we're
Right.
calling it, so an X lot would be a non-permittable lot.
A non-buildable lot?
Yeah. I don't think there's no place to build on it, but.
Okay. Previous plats that I've been involved with, we actually listed in the lot table as an unbuildable lot. I don't know if that's required.
That's what it is, we put an X on it for that reason.
Yeah, exactly. The HOA, is it mandatory or voluntary?
It's mandatory. I think that's part of the original PD zoning.
And again, that language is not, as far as the PD. And then I think my last question or comment would be connectivity. If you said there's if the adjacent landowner to the east has contacted you for possible development, have we looked at, or are we requiring this applicant to make a connectivity from one parcel to the next? And if so, that could certainly lessen the concern on the overlap from cul-de-sac. If a connectivity street was stubbed out to the east.
We had that discussion early on. I wish that Ponte Vista had connected into us within the Agnes discussion. They did. We can't go through the pond. We want to go through the pond. We can't connect to Ponte Vista. We could connect to the east, but it's a significant downhill route for us, and it's not residential zone. So we never even considered connecting. I mean, we looked at it very early on. And at 1,000 feet, that's, of course, there's miles of cul-de-sacs all over this area, but 600 are standard distance that we try to shoot for, thousands of comfortable zone, and with the extra concessions that you work with Chad on, we're comfortable with what we're doing.
Water Street and one side parking only, correct?
And there's a fire hydrant down the lane, so he was happy.
Eagles areas.
What'd you say?
Eagles areas, how long does that, that's essentially the whole setup, it's a long, that's long.
Quarter mile.
Well,
That's a border line,
I was town engineer.
but that's just a dead-end street, that's not a cul-de-sac.
I've been town engineer for all these little towns here, in Delaware, Copper Canyon. We've had this conversation a lot. And so, that's the reason we go to this up front. We kind of hashed through a lot of these details, or all these details, in the last time. It was a little more exciting meeting last time, because this one's fairly tame at this point.
I do have a couple more comments.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I just keep firing at you. In the PD zone, the adopted ordinance, you show that plan with the cul-de-sac, the head, cul-de-sac bulbs.
The multiple
Right.
Yes.
My question to you, council, is, are they tied to this? Because they're presenting an entirely different plan?
What kind of plan is that? What's the title of that document here?
It's
It's
preliminary
site
site
development plan. Preliminary site development.
Yeah, so does that actually pass as far as PD ordinance, the site development plan? Yeah, they're gonna come back with a new site plan that will be consistent with their plan.
So they'll have to amend the zoning?
It will actually amend the zoning. Can I grab that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a couple, generation or so back.
Here, this is the.
We're past that and save the baby ducks.
Everyone has, from police to sanitation to firemen, all agree that this is correct, right?
Yeah, I'll check.
And I talked to Jeff, and I talked to Jeff tonight over at CMUA. So, he said they're on top of it.
It looks like it's looping the main line, so that's.
It's open. Only exhibit, we have a preliminary site development plan attached as exhibit C, but it's not listed as one of the items that is a condition precedent to being able to get this permit. It's illustrative of what they're building, but we can, something that by doing another site plan.
Thank you, Lance.
And lastly, I think, Chris, you mentioned something about the landscape plan that's required in Exhibit B of the ordinance. Required to show landscaping along the perimeter of subdivision. At the time of the comprehensive site plan, my question is this the comprehensive site plan?
That's a preliminary,
Okay.
this is a plat.
Right.
Yeah, this is not a comprehensive site plan.
So procedurally, when do we see that landscape?
Usually you see it with some plan.
Okay.
Usually.
That's my question.
Do the next time.
Yeah.
Probably.
Okay.
Probably next time.
Basically,
Whenever you say.
Right. I didn't say that. No. What we're saying tonight, if you like this plan, we're ready to go into part design, final design, start spending a lot of money to get to a final set of plans. It's not the best plan to go back to the plan that we've got right now, which I don't like. I think we've got a better plan in front of you this evening. That's really the question that we have. If it's a better plan, great, we're ready to move to council. If we like the old plan better, which I don't, then I would probably come back and amend that. We're here to build a plan that I've got in front of you this evening. We want to follow all the rules and regulations, make this fellow happy over here, and make Mary happy, and move forward.
Has there been anything that I've raised tonight that would be of concern or you would take exception to?
No, I think you'll find documentation of the 7,200 square foot lot size all the way back from day one. That was initiated immediately when we did the first zoning change. We came back and did the second zoning change to get it to the plan. Now we're on the third round and we just kind of keep taking things off the table, so we're going in the right direction. So, plan A, we took the pond away, plan B, we took the pond back, and now we're taking more lots and more streets off the plan. So we're taking this thing in the right direction.
And from the fire safety standpoint, we have wider streets, parking on one side, and we have an extra fire hydrant. And by coincidence, we have a much larger water main serving. So those fire issues are addressed in a timely fashion. Any other questions or comments?
Will be, for my code, sorry, there's going to be signs stating point-side parking, correct?
Yes, you are simply, Chad brought that up in the fire department. Anything else?
Just a lift station.
A lift station?
For the sewer. I'm sure you wouldn't want a sewage line right behind your property that could leak and empty into the pond, because the pond directly drains into the lake, which is a major source of drinking water, so there could be some EPA issues, I don't know. I would think, though, that anything leaching like that would be a concern.
Well, this could be, approved contingent upon the town engineer reviewing the public comments that were submitted in the letter. If something needs to be done, that can be correctly filed last day. Again, those are the most up-to-date construction standards that are in place around this area, so that's what the owner will be susceptible to when he does his project. Could be subject to.
This is all gravity sewer, correct?
That's the cheap way.
I think it's the best plan we've seen so far. Yes, sir.
Motion?
We'll entertain a motion.
I'll move that we recommend the council to approve the preliminary plat for Waterview Estates, S.A. Jones Survey, tract 13.53 acres, total detailed tract number 1B, Hickory Creek, Texas. You want contingent on the,
We can put the engineer's comments. That's a comments put on the record into account first before it goes.
Okay, we have a motion on the table.
I'll second.
Okay. Christie, you got all our notes and comments on this, right?
Remote, so.
Okay.
Discuss.
Okay.
That does include my comments.
yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
The cost of engineering.
Here's your money.
Well,
She's got those.
Very helpful. Thank you for doing that. Good. All questions? Ready to vote? All in favor of approving the motion with the contingencies? Say aye. Raise your hand. Aye. Okay. Unanimously approved.
Okay.
And what would be the process for seeing the actual final motion and all the contingencies associated with it? You'd have to extract all that, right?
I'm gonna have to go through the,
Well, that was what
Go ahead.
the motion.
do the minutes, and I'll do the contingencies and send them to you for approval before I send them to Christie to go to council
And also Lance?
and Lance.
Okay. All right.
Officers, legal.
Officers? Next item? Page is that on 16, I thought that was backward.
Yeah, chair, vice chair.
Gentlemen,
Secretary.
thank you.
Did you want a new copy of the plans? No?
I got the old, man, I got the new plan.
Item E1 on the agenda, discuss, consider, and act on the election of officers.
Open our officers are chair, vice chair, secretary.
Who is currently the secretary for the record?
Me?
I don't think we have to elect her, we just don't elect the secretary.
That's right.
Don't kick me out.
You get to keep your job, I
Okay.
And I'll consent to serve again as vice chair.
guess. And I will consent to serve again as chairman.
So, somebody make a motion for each of those.
Well, can we gather them up in one motion, Lance?
Just make it a second.
Are there any other nominations?
So one, two, motions is your,
I'll come on time to do it.
well,
I guess we need to cease nomination by acclamation.
Yes.
Appoint the,
Need to have a motion for vice chair and a motion for chair.
so and I can combine that all in one motion.
One motion, okay.
I move that the nominations cease for officers of the P and Z Commission. And the appointments be made as president and vice president as nominated. So,
go ahead.
That's why we have Chris.
is that a proper motion?
Second, it's fine.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Chris will clean that up and make it look like we know what we're doing.
She's wishing we had.
Put another pen over here if you'd like.
See, what's the next agenda item?
Future?
Yes. Do y'all have any? I have a suggestion. Would y'all go ahead first if you have something? And I need some input from Lance on this. In the last 2 or 3 weeks, there's been a lot of conversation in the news about restaurants where the young lady serving food had a micro thong on and body paint, and that was considered clothing, or it wasn't considered clothing, depending on which city council was taking a look at it. I mean, the ordinance. Do we want to take a look at that? I mean, the ordinance, and make sure that we're not open to having virtually naked waitresses at the restaurants? Because I don't know if our ordinance has clarified that or not.
You dig up our sexually oriented businesses?
Yeah, that's all we have. It's been so long since I've read it that I don't remember exactly what it
It's
says.
been a lot of times.
Yeah.
I think businesses have gotten creative and worked around those probably, so maybe something we need to look at.
I mean, you know, it could be a big surprise for somebody to take their family to a restaurant and
We don't really have those type of restaurants in our community at this time.
at this time we don't. The closest thing to it, which is way on the other side of the spectrum, is Hooters in Louisville. And those gals are just in nice gym shorts, t-shirt.
Those are nice to me and you, so we could do it.
Exactly. I mean, I'm just talking about the
Yeah,
shorts, the t-shirt.
You can't legislate so that nobody will be offended.
That's right.
You can't do that.
We all have the right to be offended, I guess. Okay, that would be an item, so we'll review the ordinance.
Were you around for the session you wanted business?
I wasn't here.
I know you were. Ted, were you involved in that one?
I vaguely remember that.
1991. Yeah, I bet that's it.
Yeah.
That's one of the first things we did on the house.
Well, it is a sticky wicket, and I'm just curious what the words actually say. I haven't looked at it.
We can have that on a future agenda, I know we can't talk about it tonight, but we can just know that as a future.
Actually, I had something else. Big item in the news this week is pool drain covers. Pool
Drain cover.
Yeah. The return for the pumping system.
Oh,
Drain at the bottom.
Oh, where you pull the cover off and it's a trash.
Start getting
We certainly,
sucked on that.
Oh, really?
Sucked down to those, and if they don't use a proper cover. I don't suppose there's any way we could go back and make people change what they've got, but do we have, what's in the inspection? Do we have an inspection process on those?
We do, pool drain covers are inspected by our outside company, and we go by the 2009.
2009
Building
code
codes
covers
for-
that, so that's good. Okay, never mind.
Okay. Okay, is that it? Any other, see, what else is on the agenda? Is that it?
Executive session.
Executive session, I don't think we have one, do we?
no.
Then there's G. Favorite, our favorite.
G.
Your turn.
G.
Let's go.
Entertain a motion to,
I move we adjourn the P and Z Commission meeting of August 7th, 2013.